Welcome to Daily Politics on Trust TV. I am your host, Hamza Idris. Tonight on Daily Politics, we will be discussing with Hajia Ireti Kingube, one of the few female candidates in the race for 2023 elections. You recall that in a previous episode of the program, we had Barrister Amina Ibrahim Bibi Farouk from Kano, who is aspiring to come to the National Assembly, specifically House of Reps, under the platform of PDP to represent Gezawa Gabasawa. However, Hajia Ireti Kingube is a member of the Labour Party and an active politician who joins us to share her experience in politics and how she intends to unseat current senator representing the FCT and ranking member of the PDP, Senator Philip Aduda. Welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me.
Very excited to have you in the studio for many reasons. Well, we'll go on a quick break, and when we return, the program commences. Do stay with us.
That's great. Good to see you.
Welcome back, Hajia. You are many things rolled in one. This is how people actually describe you all the time: a politician, an activist, and then a trained engineer. Which one do you really like most of all these three roles? Let me start this way.
Well, slowly over the years, obviously, I've left engineering. I still do it a little bit, but not as actively as I used to when I was younger. I'm more into trying to change the society and into the politics because I think there's so much wrong with our country, and that can only be, we can only fix it if there are a lot of change agents out there trying to change things.
Exactly. And during your days, actually, engineering, architecture, and all that, they are meant for the men.
Yes, usually.
How did you find yourself there?
My father was an engineer.
Okay.
I started off thinking I wanted to be a doctor, but I'm very queasy about blood and pain and things like that. So I didn't think medicine would make a good career for me. And I guess I'm a scientist, basically. So that's how I ended up in engineering.
Okay. And then where did you got that niche for activism?
I've always had it, I think, because when I was in university, I went to school in the US. I ran for president of the Nigerian Students Union.
In the US?
Yes, and I was the president of Nigerian Students Union for about a year. I even won the Student Leadership Award from the university. So I've always been a get up and do person. If there's something wrong with anything, I don't say, you go and do it, I always say, let's go and do it, and I always am hands-on. In the past, when we used to have marches and protests, I didn't tell the young men to go and march or protest or do anything. I led those things. So I've always been hands-on. I don't tell you do something that I'm not willing to do. So if I say we are marching or complaining or protesting about something, I'll be in the forefront of the protest.
Were you ever intimidated of sorts?
Oh, sometimes, yes. I once went in 2003 when I was campaigning for this same senatorial seat. I was in Karshi.
Okay.
But I always write to say, I'm coming, and let the police know. So that particular day I was there. Then also the PDP candidate also decided that once he heard I was going to be in Karachi, to come to Karachi too. So of course my supporters and his clashed, and there was I'd never been in anything like that. Hundreds of people fighting at once.
Yeah, howling stones and all that.
They were physically fighting, and I just didn't know what to do. So the police came, surrounded my car, and then told me that it's all right. I'm the one who's meant to be here as far as they know. But then he said to me, "So, madam, what are you doing walking around naked?" I said, "Naked?" I looked at my clothes. I was dressed. I said, "I don't understand."
Yes.
He goes, "No security. You just go around by yourself."
Okay.
I go, "Well, I didn't think I needed any." He laughed. He said, "So how are you going to get home from here?" So anyway, in the end, they escorted me. They tear gassed everybody, and that was the first time I'd been tear gassed in my life. And then at the end of it, they escorted me into town. But though we were a little bit apprehensive, but we continued campaigning. There are lots of times when I'm a little afraid, but it comes with the territory. We can't run and hide, so you just continue and pray to God and hope for the best.
That was 2003. Now 20 years.
The insecurity is even worse. And between that time and now, I've always been in the political space, but only looking for a ticket. And when I decided, the country isn't getting any better, I'm not interested anymore, several parties offered me their tickets. Labour Party was one of them. And I also then said to the parties, here are my preconditions. And Labour Party met my conditions, and that's how come I'm their senatorial candidate.
Does that mean at some time you decided to give up actually vying for political office?
Only this 2023. After 2018, I saw that the parties never actually do primaries. There's no internal democracy. So how do we expect them to honor the general election? So many things I found wrong, and decided that this is not why I joined politics. So for this time, for this particular dispensation, yes, I was not interested as far as I was concerned. I've tried, I've done my bit, let other people go and do their bit. But then, one of the reasons they convinced me to run is that I'm one of the few politicians that Senator Aduda is actually afraid to come up against.
Okay.
And that even if I'm not interested in long-term politics anymore, I should join hands with those interested and let's go and defeat him. Because
yes,
he's been there for 20 years in the National Assembly, and truthfully, we thank him for his contributions, but FCT doesn't have much to show for the 20 years.
You feel you will defeat him, Aduda? He was in the House of Reps, now gone in for third term in the Senate.
I know I will defeat him. Because it's not, FCT has always been about candidates. The truth of the matter is, most of the time, I know that when I go to vote for Aduda, I vote for him because the alternative is much worse. And I think that I offer FCT a viable, capable, competent alternative to Aduda.
Some said most of his opponents are really scary to go to him because he is really grounded across the FCT. And you've tried this not once, not twice. What is actually giving you confidence this time around?
Every time I have run against Aduda once in a primaries, for which the minister minister had to throw his might and his money and everything to defeat me. And even then, with only just a few votes. Even the incumbent senator at the time came fifth. So I know that I have the support of the people. That's number one. Number two, who are the people Aduda has always run against? Look at them. So,
in terms of pedigree?
In terms of anything, Aduda was always better. And I know that I'm better than Aduda. I am a better option for the FCT. And therefore, I believe on the 25th of February, the FCT will go and change Aduda.
You have all what it takes, right from the time you started vying for political office. What do you think have been actually working against your aspiration?
What has always been working against me is the fact that I do have what it takes. If you,
Even just education, I don't know, even just the resources.
If you look at the FCT,
Yes.
the FCT has a minister who has to work with the senator.
Yeah.
And in truth, it's much easier for the minister to work with a pliable, amenable, not as educated senator as I am. That's the truth.
They want vulnerable people of sorts.
Malleable people is more the word I'm looking for.
Okay, I've withdrawn mine.
Exactly. And the truth is that I'm not like that. They know that from everybody who knows me knows that I'm not like that. And that has always worked against me. I've always known that. But you can't change who you are. I'm a person of strong convictions. If I'm there to represent the interests of the people, that's what I'm going to do.
FCT is for everyone.
Yes.
And there are some people who actually try to vie for offices here. When it proves difficult, they now go back to the home front. Have you ever thought of going back home front to vie for an office? Or you think it will be difficult back home?
No, it doesn't make sense. I have lived in the FCT since 1988.
Wow.
It doesn't matter that so I go to Panshekara, Chalawa to go and run. Do I know what their problems are? Have I lived there? I go and visit them for 1 hour once in a while. It doesn't make any sense. I'm a firm believer in residency.
Okay.
I think that state of origin should be taken out of our forms, and state of residence should be what should replace everything. The place where you live, the place where you pay taxes, the place where your children are born, that is where you're from. And if we do that, in 10 years, you would have a much more united Nigerian, that it doesn't matter that you've lived here for, your family has lived here for 2-3 generations and somebody tells you you are not from here. How does that make sense? As long as we're all Nigerians and you're living within Nigeria, where your ancestors come from should not take priority over where you live and where you pay your taxes.
When General Murtala actually thought of relocating the federal capital from Lagos to Abuja is to resolve some of these contentious issues, indigenship, you are a settler and all that. And up to now, there are some people in the FCT who are actually agitating that even the minister or whoever senator must be an indigenous. Have you ever been faced with such questions when you go for campaign to say you are not from here, we don't want you?
Occasionally, but it's academic because the majority, when I first ran,
yes,
there were about 300,000 voters registered.
When you first ran?
Yes, in the FCT. Now, approximately 1.6 million. And next election, there are going to be more and more and more. It's a federal capital. You can't stop the people from coming in. So as more people come, the number of indigenous people will get less and less. So once it is an election where the will of the majority is what's going to prevail, you cannot stop it. But what I would opt for is concessions for indigenous people.
Good.
Certain concessions, which some young indigenous people have spoken to me about, saying, Hajia, if you win, maybe you can set up an indigenous young scholarship fund.
Yeah.
You can set up maybe a tourist village that depicts our culture. There are things that
so that it will not fizzle out.
Exactly, but you cannot stop it. So at the end of the day, it makes sense to work for the things that, those concessions that make them feel included.
Yeah.
Rather than saying, no, other people cannot come. They will come as long as FCT is the capital of the nation.
Yeah.
The other thing I think that we need to pass is an integration bill, meaning that...
Yeah, because I was actually going to ask you if you win, and you get to the Senate, what will be your priorities? Now you are talking about integration.
Well, I don't know if it's going. There are many things that are my priorities. So obviously, when I get there, I'm going to see what's on the ground. Then I'll be able to rearrange my priorities. An integration bill. I want the FCT to expand.
Okay.
Okay. If it is my wish, and I pray, and I know and hope Peter Obi wins, and with a president who can see the big picture. All these rundown secretariats in the center, I don't want them renovated or rebuilt. I want the FCT to spread, move some of the ministries to Abaji, Kwali, Gwagwalada, Kuje. What does that do? Development goes all around the FCT, better housing, not everybody struggling to be in the center. What will that do? It would force phone and internet access, better roads, everything.
Okay, that's you in Abaji or somewhere?
Probably, I've been all over the place.
Yeah. Okay.
So at the end of the day, FCT, have you gone into Gishiri, you go to Nyanya, all those places, they're all slums. Development is only in the center of Abuja.
Well, why do you think so? Why is it development only in the center?
Because nobody's bothered with it. None of the leaders have kept their eye on the ball. I don't blame the minister. The minister is not elected by the people. He's there for primarily infrastructure. That was the original reason, because the city was being built. So he's not accountable to the people. All the roads are in city center, all the road to the airport, Maitama, Asoko, Wusetu. After you leave those places,
you're on your own.
See, slums, no water, no light, nothing. There has to be a formula that changes all of that.
Because I can see all over the world, if you go to the capital cities, you see they have adjoining cities that are as good as the center, and it decongest actually the centers, because people will feel free to live, because there are trains, there are metros, there are city buses and all that.
Exactly. Abuja doesn't even have any public transport, so to speak. It has one that's barely functioning. So it needs a transportation master plan. Phase 1, buses and taxis. Phase 2, trains. What stops you from entering a train in front of the secretariat and it takes you straight to Abaji?
To Kefi,
yes.
In Nasarawa.
Yes, what stops you as a local train? What stops you?
Will you push for things like this?
I most definitely will, because it's not rocket science. Somebody asked me, said, okay, Hajia, if you wanted, say a company comes now, wants to build a train service for us in Abuja, how would you do it? You say train from here to Abaji. I said, yes. They'll be mounted on high columns above the roads.
Wow.
So they don't disturb.
And you need not to destroy many structures.
Nothing. You can put them over.
Are you saying this because of your engineering background?
Yes, I'm an engineer and I know it's possible to do that. After all, when I first went to Dubai,
the issue of compensation will actually be less.
You've already compensated them for the roads. Run the trains overhead, over the roads, in the places where you can. Going out, you can do that.
You see, Hajia, we always receive people that call themselves indigents or owners of Abuja, and they keep saying some of these things could not be done because Abuja belongs to nobody. Do you agree with that?
No, Abuja belongs to everybody. There's a difference between nobody.
Okay.
Abuja belongs to everybody.
Well, everybody sees it as gold mine to come and take what he can and then move on.
Now, you know why?
No.
Because most ministers are appointed and they come here, a lot of them do. They use this place, check the history of most of the ministers who've been here. They use Abuja to develop themselves and then go and become somebody,
yes, governor
or whatever in their own
yes.
state. I must say, that though El-Rufai went on to become governor, but if you look at the track record of all the ministers, El-Rufai has been the minister that worked the most for FCT. That's the truth. We may not have liked him because maybe we don't like his style.
Many people slaughtered rams, cows,
Yes,
and all that
yes,
for him.
we didn't like his
die or
style.
whatever,
He was a bit abrasive, but in terms of work, he got the most done in the FCT. That's the truth.
Some are saying maybe a final solution to this is your mayorship, to have a mayor.
That's the truth. We should have.
You are in that school of thought?
Yes, I'm in that school of thought, and I know that there's a mayoral bill that Senator Haira Gwadabe prepared, which is still there. Every senator comes, works a bit half-heartedly on it, but not really with everything they've got. I am also, inshallah, going to go and try to get that bill passed. It will make a lot of difference to Abuja. Abuja is slowly turning into slums.
Yeah.
Abuja was not this way when we say 20, even 25, 30 years ago. Abuja was not like this. Something needs to happen.
Yeah.
And that thing is under leadership.
Some are saying for the past 8 years, there was no new district in Abuja. No opening, nothing. Why do you think we're having this serious setback?
Because look at it, we don't, new districts, I'm sure they're giving out the land, but they're giving it out maybe in a very haphazard manner.
Okay.
So
instead of doing the basic infrastructure first.
Exactly. So to do a place up, you need to put in the infrastructure before you start allocating it. And there's no point in allocating the land to my brother, my sister. You have to give it to people who have the capacity to put the infrastructure. And then agree on what the land can be sold for or allocated for. That is number one. Number two, no street lights, no water. The only water that we have in the FCT, the one that Salini, since El-Rufai and before, the water system they brought in, we've got 2 dams, Lower Usuma Dam and Jabi. We can work on some, so it will take years, but a permanent water system for Abuja, we do not have. And then the other thing that makes it even worse, corruption also in the water board, makes everything even worse. So we need to sit down and look at things and come up with temporary measures and long-term measures.
Even though when the FCT natives visited the president to celebrate January with him, he said he kept the minister, for instance, because he resisted temptation to give lands to people, and that was why he kept him there for almost 8 years. Do you think we should just use that
lands
as...
or not giving land should not be just the reason the minister should be celebrated for. The minister needs to do a lot more. I'm not sure where his powers end and that of the Senate and the National Assembly starts, because the Senate is the equivalent of the State Assembly for FCT. So a lot needs to happen. Not just a minister that doesn't give land is not good enough. He needs to be able to look at security is terrible in the FCT. The FCT used to have more street lights. We have a lot less. Lots of neighborhoods are dark. There's dirt, rubbish everywhere. It's not cleared. I could go on and on and on.
And this is actually not the dream of the framers of the FCT.
No, it's not.
Okay, Hajia, FCT is actually bigger in terms of landmass than many states. No state has less than 3 senators. They have many House of Reps. When you go to Kano, almost 24 or 40 something, I mean, 24. Lagos, they have many members of House of many states they have. But FCT, very narrow representation. What is your take on this, and will you actually make case for expansion? Because maybe 2 voices will be stronger than 1 voice.
No, I won't make a case for expansion, because I think that FCT has so much more serious problems that we need to solve those first. If I succeed in solving the more urgent things like roads, water, schools, health, then some other person who comes and finds all these things are working can now decide that, okay, we need more. Now, a senator in Kano has how many local governments are under him? Much more than Abuja does.
Yeah, there are 6.
And there are several states that way.
Okay.
So in my opinion, it's not the problem.
Okay.
Since it's not the problem, then it's not my priority.
Okay.
My priority is to empower youth and women, make sure that the place becomes more secure. Right now, every time you go out, you'll come back the equal alert, as how some people will put it.
Yeah.
So
nobody is secure.
Exactly.
You're not sure who is following you.
I went to a place called Goza, which is off the airport road, right on this beautiful express road. You go in a little bit, smelly, open gutters, no light, no water, no nothing. So those fundamental needs are my priority before we get to
political expansion.
Exactly.
All right, thank you very much, Hajia. We'll go on a break. Viewers, we'll go on a short break, and when we return, the conversation continues. Don't go away.
Nigerians, elections are here again. Let us shun violence. Let us play the game according to the rules. Do not be a thug. Say no to violence. Let's rise and defeat violence, crime, and sabotage against the peace of our nation. Nigeria is the only country we have. We must do everything to keep it united. We must avoid any act that promotes hate and disintegration. Say no to separatist movement, terrorism, fake news, hate speech, religious bigotry, and any act that tends to divide us as a nation. Watch out for strange gatherings and suspicious movements. Restrict access to sensitive documents and data, the disclosure of which may damage national security. Educate your staff and family, particularly on measures to safeguard information and report security breaches. Apply relevant legal security guidelines to protect yourself and your neighbors. Due to misinformation and wrong choices, some idle persons resort to vices in their greed to get rich quick. They resort to kidnapping, killings for rituals, and other heinous crimes. Avoid wrong use of the social media. Before you broadcast that false message, think twice. Ask whether it will promote peace or violence. For safety at home, still be security conscious. Educate your household on safety tips. Report all suspicious movements and persons to the security agencies nearest to you. Be a good citizen. Be patriotic. To pass security information, please call 0813-222-2105, 0915-339-1309, 0908-837-3514, or send a mail to dsspr@dss.gov.ng. This message is from the Department of State Services, DSS.
Welcome back. If you are just joining us, this is Daily Politics on Trust TV. Do well to follow the conversation across our social platforms on Facebook, Instagram, and watch us live on YouTube. We still have Hajia Habiba Ireti.
No, Hibba.
Hibba.
Yes.
But people call you Habiba.
No, they don't. My name is Hibba Tula, so everybody calls me Hibba.
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 What is the meaning of Ireti?
Ireti means hope.
Okay, okay.
Hibba means gift.
Okay, hope of the FCT, maybe. All right, welcome back. We were discussing how to actually bring back the dwindling fortunes of the FCT. And the next question is actually how to get there. You can only actualize some of these your dreams when you get there. And people are surprised. You went to Labour Party when it is PDP and APC that actually slug it out seriously for the contest. Why Labour Party?
Let's put it this way. Labour Party came to me To start off with, remember I was in APC and resigned and said I was done with politics. I was actually
Because you were frustrated?
APC FCT leader, yes. APC
From top to bottom?
with APC?
Yes.
Oh, most certainly. APC was a party we had all built with so much idealism and hope. And after we won the elections, we started to do things much worse than the people we went to remove. And idealistic people like me were terribly disillusioned, especially in the FCT. We all see what is not right and insist on doing it. After a while, I did not see the point of being in such a party.
You mean APC is worse off compared to PDP in terms of performance?
Well, you could say that, but I know that when we went and ganged up, worked against PDP, is because we saw all these things that were wrong that we wanted to change. Corruption, not following the rule of law, not obeying court orders. I could go on and on, the list was long. We did not think they were on the right trajectory to take Nigeria to where Nigeria needs to go. We got together, we worked, there was no money, we didn't care. We gave our all to build a party that was supposed to have the ideals that we felt APC did not have, that PDP did not have.
Yeah.
Good, we got there. And immediately we got there, we would see some big crook and thief that's being chased after by EFCC. The next thing, he runs into APC and we celebrate him.
Wow.
All the things we said
You never
was,
thought of this?
No. All the things we thought were wrong, we were doing it even more than the people were. So it left the bulk of the members, at least at the grassroots, very unhappy and very disillusioned. This kept up for a while. Remember when I went to campaign for local government elections in 2016? When I went in, just 1 year after we'd won, the youth, everybody, they would yell and scream at me, Hajia, this is not what we said. This is not what we agreed, blah, blah, blah. And I begged them.
I hope they didn't attempt to lynch you.
No, they would never touch me.
All right.
And
but they vented their anger.
Yes, they did vent. And I said to them, please don't be annoyed. We will do better. We've only been there 1 year. You're already supporting us. You've already supported us. Just continue a little bit more. And then they did go and vote for us. Even subsequently, we did even worse things. It got to the point where people, what do you go out to tell them?
Wow.
I certainly could not. So at the end of the day, by the time we got to 2018, primaries that are not taking place, every rule that we've made bent and twisted, I didn't see the point. So I slowly started to withdraw from party activities before I actually decided, well, you're not really participating much. You might as well leave the party. And I did. And before I left, I made up my mind that I'm done. I'm done with politics. I want to go and do other things.
You didn't make yours public like Najat?
No, no need. I'm not that way. I wrote to my ward. I wrote to the party chairman. And I just told anybody who needed to know that I'm done.
And the Labour Party cashed on that?
No, they didn't come until immediately. Everybody knew. When they came, I'm no longer doing politics.
Okay.
I'm an art lover. And I wanted to go and do artistic things.
Okay.
All the little pleasures that I'd given up for politics, I wanted to get involved in them again. So, not just Labour Party. I first had a chat with APGA, then NMPP,
okay,
which was actually my first choice. But there were certain things I did not like within the party in the FCT. I expected a certain unity I did not see
in NNPP, yeah.
within the FCT at the time. Maybe they're better united now. And then I moved. Then Labour spoke to me, and I still said I'm not interested in politics anymore.
At first instance.
Yeah. Yes, I told everybody I wasn't interested, but they insisted and insisted and insisted. And when they insisted, and I said, okay, here are my terms and conditions. Can you meet them? And they could.
Give me like 2.
One, I'm not trading in delegates. If you're looking for delegates that I'm going to go and buy, pay money to, I'm not doing that. I'm not paying party officials money to give me ticket. All the things, I'm not doing them. If you say you're different, then show me you're different. Let's start.
And they agreed.
On a different note. And they agreed, and we did start that way.
Some people we brought here said they are going to do a like of mixed grill, meaning vying for like you now, maybe the Senate LP, but you support candidate for the presidency under different political party, governor in your state, another political party, and all that. You is suck from top to bottom?
It is suck from top to bottom. That's how we campaign. My posters, my billboards have Obi Dati, me, and the House of Rep members. I'm not.
Why Obi? Is he different from others? Konkoso, Atiku, Tinubu, Olawole?
Yes, of course he's different. For one thing, he's a good almost 20 years, 15 years younger than everybody else there.
Age, okay.
Yes, one. Secondly, Obi, from his tenure as, let's even look at everybody's antecedents.
Yes.
Okay? I'm sorry, the other people's antecedents does not make us feel that it's not going to be business as usual. But Obi's antecedents shows that it will not be business as usual. And subsequently, since I joined Labour Party, I've interacted more with him and found that he's hands-on, he's not interested in arrogating power, he's not interested in all the paraphernalia of power. Obi is the most presidents, if you tell them, oh, Abuja needs a mayor, he probably is going to wail over the fact that he's going to lose control of the minister.
He isn't power drunk.
Yes. But if you convince Obi that that is what is in the best interest of the people in that place, he will not try to struggle to keep it just for himself. So I find that at the end of the day, even if, as somebody will say, Obi is not perfect, I said, yes, Obi is not perfect, but of the 3 choices you have given me, he is head and shoulders the best of the 3.
But what keeps coming up is that then, he doesn't have the solid grounding to actually...
What is the solid ground?
The spread.
What?
You have a councillor, I think. Anyway.
He doesn't have to have. At the end of the day, what Obi needs or anybody needs are votes. What are the benefits of having House of Rep and all those people in a party? Is that they're able to fund, they're also able to mobilize, but Obi has enough people to do that. Okay, take FCT. FCT is different. Labour is fairly new. Yes, there are lots of things we have to put in place, party offices, blah, blah, blah. Okay.
Even the name to sell to the people, to say this is a political party.
Doing so.
Are you giving them money while doing this?
Not a dime.
Are you convincing them? How are you convincing them then?
By talk. At the end of the day, they live in this country. Is it not how the politics has been done in the past? Somebody comes who has not spoken to you in 4 years, comes and takes all the money that you'd have used to buy, to build you roads, hospital, everything, schools. He steals it all. Then election time, he throws some at you, and he doesn't talk to you again for the next 4 years, and you do without. The choice is theirs. And I think people are wiser now.
They are not really keen about money, even though they need the money.
They may need the money, but they understand that you take the money now, you suffer for the next 4 years. And I must say, though FCT for most part is not a vote buying place.
Okay.
We've never been, at least not where the bulk of the voters are. But even you can see a change in the attitude of people. You go and talk to a group of people, nobody's asking you to give them money.
They just want you to articulate your points.
Exactly. And they want you to commit to doing certain things for the community. The politics has changed. And what I've noticed is that the majority of Nigerians who are actually young people, they've had enough. They
But
are
they are
fed up.
called social media warriors.
That's what you think. If they were social media warriors, when they did the march, did social media block all the roads in Abuja? It was people.
Have they made commitment to actually use that voter's card? Of course, they have the large chunk.
Did you
now
see
of
the
young.
trouble they went to register to vote? Who goes to all that trouble to get something they plan not to use?
Well, they said some want to use it just to get advantage in other places.
Like
Maybe
what?
getting loans in banks and all that.
Do
Just
banks give
a
people,
sense of identity.
People don't give, banks don't give you loans because you have a voter's card. At least I don't know of that bank.
Some are doing that now.
Some banks give you loan for
Tell you,
voter's
they say
card.
you should bring your voter's card, you should bring your NIN and all
No.
that.
Most
As
banks
one of the
ask you
conditions,
for
yeah.
your
Collateral
NIN
and all
and then
that,
they do
yeah.
BVN. But the bank that's going to give you a loan because you are registered to vote, that I have to see. I don't think I have seen that bank. The truth is that these elections are going to be a surprise. It's not going to be business as usual.
Have you faced any resistance, in the home front when making choice to go for Labour Party? Because I know you're from a very big family and all that.
No, I have no resistance. Labour Party, I picked Labour Party because they picked me and I wanted a platform. And Labour Party is also, I see it as the kind of place that is a fresh party. We can use it to sell the ideals that we want to sell, that of an egalitarian Nigeria, one where people are treated fairly, one where all people are included, people with disability, everybody, an inclusive government. So Labour Party just works perfectly for me.
Yes, for you. But I read it in one or two places that your husband is actually favorably disposed to Asiwaju. So how are you campaigning for your husband?
My former husband.
All right.
So since he's my former husband, he's free to campaign for whoever he wishes, just like I'm free to campaign for whoever I wish. I'm actually running on that label, and obviously, I believe in Obi. I'm working very hard for Obi, and was I not running for Senate in the FCT, I would have worked for Obi anyway, because I feel it is time for a change in the type of leaders we have.
And you think you'll be able to sell Obi down north, down southwest, because you have Atiku down north, you also have Kwankwaso, you have Tinubu southwest.
Did you see the rally in Kaduna? Did you see the rally in Niger? Even the one in Kano, we may not get the volume of votes that Kwankwaso would get, but we will still get a decent number of votes.
But are you differentiating this
Even
crowd?
in a place like Borno,
Yes, where the
people
vice
in southern
presidential
Borno,
yes.
all of them will be obedience. Things
But
are
why
different.
only southern Borno?
No, there will be some in northern Borno. That's what I'm trying to tell you, that
Okay.
the truth is that suffering is not limited to Christians or PDP or APC people or Labour Party people. Everybody is suffering.
And this is where some people are actually accusing your candidate, maybe whipping up the issue of religion and maybe tribe and all that.
My candidate isn't whipping up anything.
Okay.
At the end of the day, young people cutting across board, and I talk to them, whether they're Muslims or Christians, they are tired. They need a change. I also feel that between PDP and APC, They could have changed the kind of leaders they brought to the table for us drastically. But they didn't. They're giving us same old, same old. And everybody's tired of same old, same old. Same old has not worked. The country has voted PDP.
Yeah.
They saw where it ended up. They've also voted APC. They also saw where it is only logical that forget Obi's antecedents and forget Hajia Ireti. As one man told me, one of these people who's selling phones, he said to me, Hajia, Kubansa and Laboba, Barinjan Guadasu.
Oh, to give it a trial.
Yes.
Benefit of it.
Saurang bas nasan subana sonsu. Case closed.
Wow.
So to translate that, you know what I've just said.
Yeah.
The others, I know who they are. I don't want them. So let me try these ones, even if I don't know them. So to the Hausa phone seller, Obi may not be a known quantity, but the others, he already knows them, he doesn't want.
You think this will actually be to the advantage of your candidate?
I know it will be. Just watch.
He was
the
allegedly
results-
stoned in Katsina on Monday or thereabouts. Are you really comfortable with the way campaigns are being carried out by candidates? You know?
How are they carried out? If he was stoned in Katsina, that could have been arranged.
Okay.
Why would, after all, you could also say that though there was a big crowd in Kano, but some of the people were shouting when they said APC, some shouted Bama. So,
Yeah.
These things happen in all campaigns. It doesn't measure the actual support on the streets.
Yeah.
The elections, that's what will measure it.
Yeah, and you can see, Hajia, the narrative actually in the political space is not really fine.
In what
The way candidates are hurling insults, you know, dropping accusations left, right, and center.
Labour is not hurling insults. We're not accusing anybody of
No, we
anything.
didn't actually. I didn't mention Labour.
Yes,
but
that's what I'm.
yeah.
It is a policy
Okay.
in Labour, from Obi down. Face your own. Don't focus on the other people. You would never have heard Obi insulting any of the other candidates. He doesn't even respond to any of the things that the spokespeople say. And when you say, this spokesperson said this about you, he says, I don't respond to spokespeople. I only respond to candidates like myself.
Wow.
And since candidates have not said anything
Yeah.
directly to him, there's nothing to respond to.
Why do you think they are engaging in this campaign of calumny and all that? Is it that they don't have?
APC and PDP, because
Yes.
that's who they are, and they have nothing. They don't want to talk about the issues. We have a lot of issues, and that's what Obi is doing.
Is it
talking
like
about
diversion
issues.
to divert the attention of the people, maybe
Of
to
course.
confuse the electorate?
It will not confuse them. Since you cannot engage anybody on the issues, then you insult each other.
Yes, people are narrowing the contest to 4 parties. They say, okay, Labour Party, PDP, APC, and NNPP. But here, we give equal opportunity to all this. When we hosted Bibi Farouk Amina here, she said from the major parties, in the whole of Northwest, she's the only person. Now, here in Abuja, we have you. Why are women not finding it easy to get tickets of these big parties?
Because the big parties are not about capacity, they're about godfatherism, cronyism. It doesn't matter whether your son has the capacity, you are going to put him. It doesn't matter whether your protege has the capacity. That's what the big parties are about.
Okay.
Things must change.
All right.
That's the truth. It must. We cannot continue the way we are. I watched a webinar a few months back,
Yes.
which was about whether Nigeria is going to become a global power in the year 2050 or the poverty capital of the world. And this one singular factor Nigeria needed to change her trajectory was, guess what? Leadership.
And leadership
If
doesn't
you
care
get
about gender.
Yes, if you get the right leaders, things will change. If you look at the African countries that have the most women in governance, Rwanda, South Africa, Senegal, they're also much, much more better economically developed than we are. There's a correlation between development and women in governance. That's a fact. But in Nigeria, everybody is struggling. Corruption is where it all begins and ends.
And women are not really willing to be corrupt.
Not same way.
Even though there are some.
You will
I don't want
find
to mention
some,
them, yeah.
but the bulk of women are not, because women are mothers. Most women who are in politics are there to change things. Women are not the kind of people who go out to cheat their children and take food from their mouths.
Okay, I want your final words on why FCT should vote for you for this election in 30 seconds.
Okay.
We have come to the end of the
Why
program.
FCT should vote for me?
Yes.
Because I am the most credible, capable candidate. I am the best candidate that they have right now, and therefore they should vote for me. I am coming with a lot of goodwill, and I will work hard for them. I know what needs to be done, and I will do them all.
Here at Daily Trust, we wish you well, and we'll continue to work with all candidates. We'll give equal opportunity, showcase all candidates for the electorate to make a better choice. I hope you've convinced them.
Thank you very much.
And we're
I
happy
appreciate you having
you
me here.
Viewers, that's a wrap on today's program. We are almost an hour with Hajia Ireti Kingibe, and she said a lot. And I hope we have more women to participate in politics. Thank you for watching, and do join us again for another interesting edition. I am Hamza Idris. Bye-bye.